It's a two-parter, folks. Along with Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces celebrates the Hedgehog's 25th anniversary. It was announced at the same time, had a much stronger marketing push, and was returning to the boost formula from Generations. There was a lot more writing on this game than I think people realize. The Sonic fanbase is very divided between where he should go next. Sonic Mania proved that 2D classic Sonic is still beloved. It sold well, and we all know how fun it is. But there are many people that do love the modern Sonic playstyle, and people were waiting to go back to the more story-focused setup that the adventure games had. And that's who Sonic Forces tries to grab. This game is most likely going to decide where the Sonic franchise is gonna go now. So let's analyze how it did. Is this the renaissance Sonic has been needing? Or is this just him stumbling out again? That's what we're here to find out. This is Sonic Forces. You are... you. You create your own fan character known as the Rookie to become the central focus of the story. Anyway, after a routine attack on the city by Eggman, Sonic's ready to defend everyone from a team-up of all of his most terrifying villains and Zavok. They are being led by a new creature named Infinite, and together they manage to finally defeat Sonic, allowing the world to be entirely taken over by Eggman. Cut to a few months later, and Sonic's remaining friends created a resistance to fight back. And judging by this, I feel like they're successful at literally not letting Eggman into that little room. Anyway, this is when the Rookie joins up with the team to fight back. After finding out Sonic's actually been alive for some stupid reason other than plot, it is up to you to find out where he is and wage an all-out war against Eggman to take back the planet and restore peace and freedom to everyone. Oh yeah, classic Sonic's there too, I guess.
Been generations since I seen you. You okay? Oh!
I always forget that classic Sonic is supposed to be a major part of this game. He is so shoehorned into the plot, and the fact that he's mute like he was in Generation really clashes with the style this game is trying to have. The Rookie is already a mute character. I don't understand why we needed a second one. But even as a mute, the Rookie managed to get a lot of character development because he is the central focus of the story. He managed to have one of my favorite character arcs in this game, even if it is basic and corny. Other than pandering to classic fans, classic Sonic has no real purpose in this story, and him being a mute adds to the problem. Did we really need this game to add to Mania? No. All it does is add more questions. Like, is the Phantom Ruby something that's naturally occurring, or did Eggman create it? If classic Sonic isn't from the past and is from another dimension, then what exactly is the Phantom Ruby and what was it doing in Mania? It adds so many questions and inconsistencies that if you really want to enjoy the game, you have to ignore these. But that is a bit easier because of the focus on character development and dialogue that the last few games had. In fact, I feel that the story is pretty integral to if you're going to enjoy the game or not. So to make all of these problems go away, I'm just gonna have classic Sonic played by Danny DeVito for the rest of the review.
I am not a human being! I am an animal! Cold-blooded!
But anyway, like I said, this game attempts to be much more story-focused than any other of the modern games. But I'm honestly really glad to say that the story is the strongest aspect of Sonic Forces. It mixes in the overtly dark themes that Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06 attempted to have with the more lighthearted nature of the modern games. Like, how dark this game can get is astonishing. But that adds to the charm. Like how they flat out say that Eggman was torturing Sonic for months just for fun, or my absolute favorite line in the game.
None of this is good, Vector. That's why it's called war.
It's writing like this that I expect more out of Halo or something. Another part of the game that I feel has a lot are these little Star Fox style heads talking at you while you play through the levels. It really adds to the excitement of the story, always keeping you involved. It isn't like most of the other games that try to segment story and gameplay. But if these are really annoying, you just turn them off in the options menu. But I will admit that the levels do seem a bit more bland without them. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Episode Shadow, the free story DLC, which is something I never expected to say about a Sonic game. In this, we play as Shadow leading up to the events of the main game. It has 3 exclusive levels and gives you backstory to Infinite as a character, and let me tell you, this guy is the breakout star of this game for me. He spends the entire game just toying with you. My favorite level is where he just destroys the stage as you're on it and screws with the gravity. We see him grow from this mercenary who wants to be the strongest to this edgy badass with the powers of gods. Whenever he shows up, I get excited because he is such a great addition to this cast. But he also leads into one of my biggest problems with the story of this game, and spoiler warning, I'm going to start talking about the end of the game here, so skip to this point in the video if you don't want to hear any of it. After his boss fight, he just disappears. Because of episode Shadow, we see him as a separate character from the Phantom Ruby. But after you defeat him for the third time, he just becomes a part of Eggman's robot to become the actual final boss. It's slightly implied that he was a phantom projection the entire time, and that just goes against everything that the story was setting up for him. And Shadow makes it very, very clear that they don't have a personality, but do have all the powers. And that leads to some other plot holes as well. Like right before the Zavik boss fight, why does he have so much personality? If Infinite really was just supposed to be a projection made by Eggman the entire time, why does he have such a personality? And yeah, I know it's a Sonic game, so why am I caring about the story this much? And it's honestly because it's what kept me going through the main game. Taking out the plot holes, the basic story we're given is still pretty fun, and the writing is some of the best that Sonic the Hedgehog has ever had. It borrows aspects from every incarnation of these characters so they seem familiar to everyone. Like, take Sonic. This is my absolute favorite scene of his.
Oh, great! See, Infinite? Now we're getting to know each other. So, what's your favorite color? Do you like long, romantic walks on the beach? What's the source of your power? You can skip the first two questions if you like.
The writing manages to keep him as this lovable asshole we saw in Colors and Generations, as well as bringing him back to his more heroic outings, creating a perfect blend in my opinion. So while the story does have its goods and bads, what about the rest of the game? Whenever I go back to one of the modern Sonic games, you guys always hear me rant about how great the Hedgehog engine is. And now this is the Hedgehog engine 2, and I can say it's just as beautiful. The Hedgehog engine 2 still manages to keep a consistent 60 frames per second during gameplay, environments, cutscenes, and animations all look stunning, and Sonic honestly has never looked better. To save money and time, the developers reused the environments they made to theme the levels. It's similar to how Sonic Colors did it by theming all the levels depending on the planet you were on. But I felt less fatigued going through the levels here than I did in Colors because it jumps around the world, so you won't be seeing the same assets reused in rapid-fire succession. I know a lot of people are saying stuff like, oh look, we have Green Hill Zone again. Oh look, more Chemical Plant Zone. And yeah, while Green Hill Zone manages to look similar to the way it did in Generations, Chemical Plant looks entirely different. And this helps bring a more coherent world together to match the lore, using these locations as a way to tie together all of the games. The game tries to be constantly on the go. While the level design is much more linear than in past games, the spectacle factor is pushed to the absolute extreme. It looks fantastic and every stage has its own memorable ideas. The music is the most exciting that Sonic has had in a long while. It manages to be very nostalgic while also sounding absolutely new. And depending on the character you're playing as, you're going to hear a different style of music. The Avatar stages have an electro-style vocal song.
The sun is falling in the sky beyond.
Sonic has this very fast-paced electric rock style to his music. All of the music in episode Shadow is remixed from his levels in Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog. Classic Sonic tries to be a mix of the techno music we got in Sonic Generations along with the more electronic sounding music from this game. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of classic Sonic's music. I can't tell if it clashes so much with the other musical stylings or if I'm just nostalgic for the great music from Sonic Mania. The two main themes that come out of this game, Fist Bump and Infinite, are both very great in their own ways. Fist Bump is this high-action song that manages to capture the spirit of the story in lyrics. It feels like a mix of the more upbeat songs Sonic has been using as themes recently, along with the darker and more heavy songs that he had during his adventure days. And Infinite is just indulgent. It's edgy, it's moody, it's dark, it fits Infinite's character so well. My coworker and I just blasted this song and sang it because, dear God, we love how cheesy it is. The rest of the sound design does sound pretty good as well. It's more what we come to expect from Sonic games at this point. But the voice acting is also completely spot on. It's the same cast from the Sonic Boom cartoon, and they do a fantastic job. Each character has emotion to everything that they're saying, even when there's these static screens that were honestly a cheap way of cutting the animation budget in half. They managed to convey a lot of emotion through just their voice. So I think I've put this off for long enough. How's the gameplay itself? As we've come to expect with Sonic games, with the 3 different characters we get 3 different styles of gameplay. Modern Sonic goes back to the boost formula, but definitely is taking more from Sonic Colors than anything else. Sonic moves much slower than he did in Generations, and unlike that game which had a focus on keeping momentum going, it's more focused on speedy platforming. To reinforce the connection to Colors, the double jump is back, and the boost gauge is filled with wisps rather than with rings. I don't understand how or why wisps are in the game. Sonic Colors showed that they were specifically on Planet Wisp and its surrounding planets because of how Eggman was trying to steal them. I don't understand why they're in this game at all, but that's just a shitty story nitpick and I should move on. The levels are much more linear than they have been in the past, even compared to the less platformy levels in Colors. Usually it's only 1 or 2 paths to take per level, and they usually converge so quickly that you don't even notice that you missed a path. The levels are also very, very short, usually being around a minute or 2 per level. Sonic doesn't feel nearly as good as he did in Generations. He feels much more stiff, and sometimes boosting can be a death sentence depending on the level. It's weird because Sonic has been feeling more and more fluid as time went on, but in this game it just feels like a step backward. And speaking of step backwards, Classic Sonic plays exactly like he did in Generations. He does have the addition of the drop dash from Mania, and I see myself using it here a lot more than I did in that game. But as I said before, I really don't like Classic Sonic in here. In Generations, he contrasted well with modern Sonic's gameplay. Without that kind of focus to his inclusion, he just feels tacked on here. And I can't tell if the level design truly was better in Generations, or the fact that it came straight off of Mania, which was easily the best level design and control any 2D Sonic game had.
I just wanna be pure.
Classic Sonic's gameplay isn't terrible. It just doesn't feel like it belongs in this game at all. Thankfully, they aren't a huge focus of the game. Most of the stages are modern Sonic levels, or the new Avatar stages. Here you take control of the Rookie and you're armed with a Wisp-On and a grappling hook. The Avatar feels sort of like a spin-off of the modern Sonic game design. He lacks the boost but has a larger focus on 3D sections. At times it feels like a mix between Boost Sonic and Sonic Adventure, and the levels like that are when the gameplay is at its best. Like every Sonic game now, I guess, you use the power of the wisps to move on. While every single level can be done without them, using them can lead to a gigantic ring bonus or shortcuts at the end of the level. But this can be a double-edged sword though because of everybody's favorite collectible, the red rings. There are many sections that require the use of certain wisps to collect certain rings. While you can finish these stages in any way you like, if you're really trying to collect all the red rings, you have to constantly replay the level with a different Wisp-On since you can only equip one at a time. When you're progressing through the game, the next level usually wants you to use the newest Wisp-On you acquire, but not all of the Wisp-Ons do feel great. I think the game spoils you by giving you the burst Wisp-On first. With how long the range is and how the weapon works, it feels so broken and you can just constantly speed through without having to stop. Some of the other Wisp-Ons stop you dead in your tracks or require a charge time, and that really breaks the flow of the game. The fact that you can only have one Wisp-On can be mitigated by this— oh Jesus, what is that? You can rent out other people's avatars for the stage. It's the only way to get multiple Wisp-Ons in the same stage, but I honestly don't really do it. By completing stages or doing missions, you unlock more clothes for your avatar. And this creation system is stupidly the highlight of the entire game. You can play as a lot of different races. Gameplay is the same across all of them, but each has a neat little ability. My character is a wolf, mostly because I like how he draws rings in, and on good runs, this is normal to see. The best style to me are the team-up stages between the Avatar and Modern Sonic. It takes the best parts of both of their levels and tries to create a hodgepodge of them. But these levels do tend to be the shortest. The longest level I played was about 4 minutes or so with Classic Sonic. As I said earlier, it focuses more on the spectacle of the levels. And while these do look cool, most of them are just QuickTime events. I'm actually in the minority that enjoys QuickTime events when they're done well. The animations look action-packed and fun, but this whole cutscene plays just because I pressed A once. A big change is also the fact that they removed the live system from this game. Whenever you die in a level, you're always going to be sent back to your last checkpoint. But dying does make you lose all of your rings. But they serve no purpose other than health, so it doesn't really matter. The game does keep track of all the retries you had in the level and the number of rings you have at the end of the stage. So if you're really hunting those S ranks, you're going to be pressing retry a lot. But the only thing the S rank unlocks is more costumes, and if you're already comfortable with your character, costumes really don't matter. Sadly, there isn't really anything new with the direction this game goes. Almost everything from this game is something we've seen done in Colors or Generation, and honestly, they probably did it better. The game is also very short. I finished the entire thing in about 4 hours. This game just feels like a step backward with everything concerning the boost formula. While every game tries to focus on bringing something new to the table, this is okay with just following the status quo. I can honestly understand why this game has been getting a lot of the hate it has been. Let me get this out of the way first. Sonic Forces is not nearly as bad as everyone is making it seem. Is it the best Sonic game? No. Is it worth the $40 price tag? Hell no. But do I hate the game? No. It needed a lot more in the gameplay department. Levels are short and there really is not a lot of variety between the different stages. But what is there is fun to blast through like in any other Sonic game. There are a lot of things that bother me about this game. Like the fact that Chaos and Shadow are teased in all the marketing and shown everywhere in the game as villains, but we never get a boss fight with them. Or how they somehow managed to make classic Sonic feel like a tacked-on addition.
You guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility.
But there is a lot in the game that I actually really do enjoy. I haven't been this drawn into a Sonic story since Sonic Adventure 2, and I honestly hope whatever the next game is follows the world and style this game built. Every modern Sonic game does something to try to stand out. Unleashed had the Werehog, Colors had the Wisps, Generations had the 2D levels, and Forces has its story. I enjoyed this game, but recommending it to everyone is not something I can do in good faith. Even if it is already cheaper than most releases at $40, I can't help but feel that unless you're already really into Sonic video games, you are not going to get $40 worth of game in here. For the same price, you'd honestly be better off buying Sonic Generations and Sonic Mania. Both are $20 and give a much better experience than what this game was trying to give you. So that's what I thought of Sonic Forces. Next time we're going to be looking at Sonic Lost World, and I know I've been saying that a lot the past few videos, but this time I actually do mean it, I promise. But I'm not entirely done with Sonic Forces just yet. If there's something that you want me to elaborate on or something you really want to see in the game, then join me as I stream the game live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. By playing it live, I can show you exactly what I mean on some of the points I was making in this video, and it's a great way for me to interact with all of you. And if you want to keep this discussion going, also join my Discord server, so that way we can talk about this game and exactly how it made you feel. So thanks for sticking around to hear everything I had to say about Sonic Forces, and I really hope to see you guys in my Discord server or my live stream later. But while I do have you here, if you are new, please subscribe, because I do a lot of Sonic content, and this isn't the end of the Hedgehog on this channel, believe me. And if you want to see more Sonic content, here's a list of all the other Sonic games I have reviewed, and I highly recommend checking it out so that you can kind of get a frame of reference of what I feel about the entire series. Or if you just want to hear what I think about other video games and movies, check out the rest of the reviews down there. Alright guys, thanks.